Hey, Armand here with your forecast for the week of October 18th, 2020. I wouldn't call it a quiet week, but I think it's going to be a little bit less intense than recent weeks. The idea is that although there's plenty going on, we're doing more processing this week, and there's going to be less new stuff on the table. That having been said, it's not a quiet week either. Start off on Sunday with Ceres stationing to go direct, and that is followed by the Sun trining Ceres at midweek. And so, Ceres, let's just assume that this is information that is coming to us about the state of our planet in terms of the environment, in terms of, well, California is, the West Coast is burning. We've run out of names for hurricanes and things like that. So there's quite a bit going, and those are just tip of the iceberg U.S. stories. So there's quite a bit going on, and let's assume that we're going to learn something about how we are handling this or how we are perhaps not handling this. Look for local stuff as well as global stuff. I think it's going to resonate on both levels. Now on Monday we have Mercury opposite Uranus. Now, Mercury Uranus aspects typically get people to blurt things out, to be very, there's some brilliant insights to be had, but there's also a tendency towards holding back because Mercury's in Scorpio, you see. So it's a tendency to hold back and then maybe let loose with a little jab of sarcasm or something like that. I think people might also be driving a little bit less than cautiously on Monday, especially with the moon in Sagittarius, which is kind of, in this particular circumstance, sort of just being about its own business and not really listening too much. So be careful driving at the beginning of the week. This energy of Mercury opposite Uranus that's so strong on Monday, though, you've heard me talk about this just a couple of weeks ago, and you'll hear me talk about it again in a few more weeks because Mercury hit Uranus, well, opposed Uranus when he was going forward, stationed to retrograde, and he's hitting him again only like 10, 12 days later. Things that were prominent just a few weeks ago may come back at you, probably will not be resolved. If you've had some sort of conflict or discussion or something like that, probably will not be resolved until sometime in mid-November. But that doesn't mean that people won't be saying stuff this week. It's not like it's a time when we're going to be necessarily holding back, holding in and then letting go a little bit. A little bit of passive aggressive energy is possible with this, but I think that there is a kernel of something really worth listening to in there, if and you can find it. Also, at the beginning of the week, the moon in Sagittarius on Tuesday will go over its own south node, the south node of the moon. Now, the south node of the moon in Sagittarius pulls us towards our beliefs. Sagittarius is a wonderful sign when it's looking for the truth. When it thinks it's found the truth, well, then maybe a little bit less so. And so the south node in Sagittarius says, I know what I believe, and I don't need your damn facts coming in here and messing that up. And with the moon in Sagittarius, we're very likely to be pulled in that direction, as though we are not pulled in that direction enough already. But it's liable to become a little bit more dramatic Monday into Tuesday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It doesn't matter what side of the issue well, it matters what side of the issue you're on, but it's going to happen regardless of which side of the issue you're on. Now, it's impossible to see things without seeing them to some extent through the lens of our own perspective and our own beliefs. However, the north node of the moon in Gemini, this is the sign for the north node of the this is the sign for the north node of the moon. It's not the sign for the north node of the moon. The north node of the moon in Gemini is trying to get us to listen to the facts, to suspend belief, and maybe on a good day to actually find some way in which we can modify our beliefs based upon facts. Yet what we're looking at most typically this week is hunkering into our beliefs. This is the south node sign. Hunkering into our beliefs and bending facts around them, especially with Mercury retrograde, where we may not even get real facts to deal with in the first place. So watch out for this kind of polarization. It sounds like something that's happening out there in the collective. It's an abstract type of thing that you don't have to worry about too much if you're only concerned with relationships and career and finances and the sort of thing that you watch weekly astrology forecasts for. However, it's actually not really the case at all, because at this time, the vibe in the collective is hitting us individually very, very strongly. You know me, I've always said, we are the collective. The collective is us. It's the inside and it's the outside. It's very, very apparent right now. It's very, very apparent when you run into somebody that you know and love at a what's left of our social gatherings, or at a work type of thing, what's left of that, or on the street, and one of you has a mask on and the other one doesn't, and one of you's trying to keep the distance and the other one is like rushing in for a hug, and you're both thinking, oh, one of those nuts. And the polarization that we have, I mean, that's just one issue. Wear a mask. But that's just one issue, but it's all over the place on so many different issues. People are so polarized, and it is invading family space. Well, the things we can't talk about in the family, and there's topics we have to avoid, and it is happening at work, and it is happening. It's busting up. It can bust up personal relationships, or make potential ones seem very unappealing. It's busting up friendships really, really precipitously, though. We're seeing a lot of that happening. It's happening fast and furious. People are splitting up friendships because they can't deal with folks that have the other perspective. And sometimes that's the right thing to do. But it happens because we pull so far to the side, because we've come to such extremes. And that is the sort of energy that we would like to a little bit avoid if we can. Listen to some facts. Listen to some facts. Won't hurt. Wednesday, Thursday, the moon is in Capricorn. It's going to meet all the Capricorn planets. It's a waxing moon in Capricorn. If Mars and Mercury were not retrograde and everything else, it would probably be a pretty good time to make progress. It is a time to make some first steps, let's call it. It's a good time to take some first steps towards something. I wouldn't expect tremendous progress, but you can take some first steps. Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, most of Sunday, which we'll talk about next week, the moon is in Aquarius. It's a little bit more open sort of feeling, which I think that's probably going to be helpful. The other thing about it, as we get to the end of the week, Wednesday through Saturday, Venus is going to aspect Saturn and Pluto. Now, at other times, we might describe this as a time to build on things in relationship. It could be a time it would be very good for making business deals and things like that. However, it is what we call a closing aspect. That is, it's sort of wrapping up things. And Venus is in Virgo, which is Mercury's sign, and she's not particularly happy in Virgo. So what are we likely to get? Well, my sense is that compromise is about the way to think about this. Whether we're talking about relationships or whether we're talking about business things, you can kind of get what you need, but probably not what you want. It's a very poor time to have things appraised if you're looking to get full value. But on the other hand, you can probably if you want to get rid of something, you can probably succeed in having that. That part of it's done. Okay, I wanted to sell this, so I sold it. I didn't get what I wanted. If you're going to buy something, it could be the same thing, and you're thinking, well, it's more than I wanted to pay, but I guess I need this, so I'm going to get it. When it comes to our personal relationships too, it's that sense of compromise. Like, well, let's sit down and really see what we're about. It's it's not very romantic. You're making a list of things that need to be done in the relationship, or things that you want in relationship. It's not what I would call the most romantic kind of energy. But the moon is in Aquarius. That'll help us to get some perspective on things, and generally speaking, it is that kind of compromise. Get what you need, not what you want. So it's a great song, right? The other thing that's happening this week is that the sun on Thursday evening in U.S. And probably late Thursday uh, in Europe, the sun is going to go into Scorpio. And that is, of course, the sign that has a lot to do with transformation and change. Scorpio season can be a little bit difficult. It really, is the sign of death and rebirth. And rebirth sounds so good, but the first term is on equal footing, and it comes first. It's the time in the northern hemisphere when the leaves come off the trees, and you really do, you know, there's no illusions about it still being, summertime or, earth season, to use the Chinese terminology for that late summer or early fall. So, no, we're in the midst of the transformation, and the days get so much shorter. Oh gosh, wow. It's stunning how much they change every day. So, this is liable to be a difficult Scorpio season for all the reasons that you suspect. Um, Scorpio is the sign that helps us to find the sacred in the transitory. It is the sign that helps us to look at the material realm, at the physical realm, which is really always falling apart. It is in a state of constant decay. It gets better, I mean, there is growth and expansion and things like that, but everything is in the midst of this cycle, and everything has a sort of transitoriness to it. And you could reject that and say, well, no, I'm going to be, just spiritual. I'm just going to look at what's up there. Scorpio teaches us to find the sacred in the material, with all of its problems of decay and all of its problems of impermanence. That is the big scorpionic lesson. And I think we're going to have a very vivid tutorial in that this year. More to be discussed next week. Take care.